Welcome back to Platinum Hunters Extra, the show where we take a look at all things trophy and information, and sometimes we do tier lists just like this one. This is a tier list for our new game plus trophy sets and standalone games. I'm going to be doing one for this, and it's from episode 1 to 10, similar to the way we do it when we do our trophy list for the big episodes, except I'm gonna be less strict about this. I'm gonna be including some trophy sets that I haven't covered on the channel, but I'm familiar with either by completing it or by just playing through it enough to know exactly where I'd put it on the tier list. If you want to check out the big episodes, episode 1 to 25 and then episode 26 to 50, those are in the description below. There will be a card for the first episode right now. But without further ado, let's talk about these New Game Plus DLCs, add-on trophy sets, and standalone games and put them here on the tier list. Our first one is Mr. X's Nightmare from Streets of Rage 4, and I had put it on Hardened. And what you need to know about it is that you need to get to level 30. That's the most important thing you need to do, is get to level 30 in survival mode, and it's not that easy. You need to find the right character to do it, maybe even find a partner to help you do it, although I've seen people do it by themselves. And you need to get the right power-ups as you play. What's also going to take a little while is that you need to get all of the new moves for every character, and that includes the new characters, the 4 new characters that were added. And you'll also need to beat story mode with Estelle, Max, and Shiva, the Streets of Rage 4 versions of them, and that'll be everything you need to know for this DLC to complete it. It's going to be a long DLC. I think it took us about, 40 to 50 hours to complete it, but it's a very fun time. Survival mode is very good, and I really enjoyed it. Next, we got Ghost of Tsushima Iki Island, and that goes into the casual section. And for Iki Island, it's very similar to the base game. It's just like one continent pretty much of the base game, even smaller than that. There's less stuff to do than one continent in the base game. So you'll have to get all the collectibles, you'll have to beat the story. There's a bunch of other side missions that you have to complete to get 100%. And there is one set of collectibles where it will require you to beat the Ghost of Tsushima Legends story once through. So that means you beat it on easy mode once through with a character, and that will let you get the last thing you need for the Iki Island DLC. So that's required. The reason I don't have that here on this list is because that's going to get its separate episode when I finally get to it. It's been a long time coming, but I still plan to make that episode. Next, we got our boy Cole and Infamous Festival of Blood. This is a standalone PlayStation 3 game that came out just shortly after the release of Infamous 2 for around Halloween. And for this game, it's also a bite-sized version of Infamous 2. And you have your missions to complete, you got your collectibles, side missions to complete. And then there is the UGC missions, the user-generated content missions. You need to do 20 of those. It's a bit of a grind, sure, but nothing too hard. And the servers are still up, so get it while the game is still available. And I put it here under Iki Island. I think it's easier and definitely shorter than Iki Island, so I put it underneath, and that's where it's going to stay. Then we got LittleBigPlanet 3, The Journey Home, which is a very short DLC, but I think it is more difficult than both of these games in the casual tier, and I'm going to put it at the very top of it. And this game has you playing 6 levels where you need to get the 6 stamps. However, some of them are multiplayer levels, which means you're going to have to drag somebody in here to help you get it. And there are some story bubbles that you will need for people to get, because now, not like the base game, you need to get the story bubbles to complete this one. And it is not that difficult to ace the levels, get the story bubbles, get the stamps. It's not that hard. The problem is when you're trying to play this game, the matchmaking just does not work, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to get this done. But all in all, it's a great DLC that I think you should check out. I enjoyed it a lot, especially I have a soft spot for LittleBigPlanet 3, even though it is technically broken. But it is a good one if you want to get 100% for LittleBigPlanet 3. And the LittleBigPlanet 3 Platinum is a 0.1. So I think you should get it. New Game Plus, Episode 5 covered 6 trophy sets, and they're all from Borderlands 3. So the whole Season Pass 1 and Season Pass 2. So we're going to put them all on the tier list right now. I'm going to put them on the tier list and then talk about them. So the first one we got is Moxie's Heist. Then we got Guns, Love, and Tentacles, which I think is a little bit more difficult than the first DLC. So I'm going to put that in front. Then we got Bounty of Blood, which will come right after it. We got Psycho Krieg coming right after it. Then we got the Designer's Cut, which is that Battle Royale mode that they added. And I think that's going to be at the very top. I think it is more difficult and grindier. So I'm going to put it there. Then we got the Director's Cut, which is the only one from the episode that I put in another category. And beating Terramorphous is tough, but you can do it on easy. I'm gonna put it under the Journey Home, so it's gonna sit underneath, but above Iki Island. So let's talk about these. I think it gets a little bit progressively easier as you play through the first Season Pass, and then Season Pass 2 has some whack stuff that you need to know about. And I kind of think Season Pass 2 is a cash grab, but that's just my opinion. But when it comes to Moxie's, the main thing you got to remember about Moxie's Heist is there is a RNG trophy that you will need to go back and forth and restart checkpoint and keep going and going until the Wandering Debt Collector shows up after you beat the game. So that's a little bit annoying. Guns, Love, and Tentacles has a lot of things to collect. And you gotta beat all the crew challenges, you gotta get all the collectibles. It has a lot of stuff to do. As well, there is a missable trophy for the 50 death trap kills. That shit is annoying because if you miss that, you're gonna have to play the DLC over again. So make sure you keep those eyes laser focused on Death Trap and watch him kill everything every time he is on your team on screen. Make sure you get that out of the way. The other ones are a lot easier. Like Bounty of Blood is straightforward. Beat all the crew challenges, beat all the side missions, beat the main challenge. That's pretty well it. Psycho Krieg is pretty well the same way, except there is the little thing at the end where you have to open the gates of Valhalla. I have it in the video. It will show you exactly how to do it. It's cool and you get some really nice rewards. And then you get your Designer's Cut, which is that Battle Royale mode where you have to grind it out and collect 50 pieces of loot that you bring out from the Battle Royale mode, which means you're going to have to play a ton of matches. I think you can only take about 5 pieces of loot at a time, which sucks, which means you're going to have to play a lot of this. Then you have to find all the locations, and that's pretty well it. Then there's the Director's Cut, which has extra content in the Mysterious Lear story, and then you'll get a special artifact after you beat that story that will allow you to get the mysterious iridium piles, which is a good thing to have while you're playing the other DLCs, so you could just kind of like take out 2 birds with 1 stone. And then you gotta beat Terramorphous, which is a pretty tough fight, but again, you can put it on easy and you can play it co-op with people who have done the fight, and that will help you beat it easier. Next, we got the Frozen Wilds DLC from Horizon Zero Dawn, and I'm gonna put it just behind Iki Island. I think it's very similar to Iki Island in terms of what you have to do. Collectibles, beat the side missions. There is the hunting grounds that will give you a bit of a challenge, but they're at just the first difficulty. You don't have to beat them at the highest difficulty, thankfully. You can play it on any difficulty. So I do think it sits just right beside Iki Island for being very similar. Next, we got Returnal Ascension. the Ascension update, the 3.0 update that gave us the Tower of Sisyphus. And this was a super fun mode that you'll have to beat the 3 forms of the bosses to get those trophies. And as well, you need to complete the storyline that is in the game with all the hospital sequences, which will require you to beat the main game to beat the last part of that story. So you will need to beat the main game. A lot of people complain about it, but now there's a co-op mode that you can help you. You can get a friend in, which makes things easier because they can revive you, and it should help you beat that part of the challenge. And then you can come here and beat this, which is much easier than playing the main game. I think it's a lot of fun. It's good. I'm glad that they added co-op, and I'm glad that they added this mode because it's just the pure arcadey aspect of the game, and it's very fun. Then we got Bugsnax, the Isle of BIGsnax, and this was another very fun DLC, adding good stuff to the main game. Not only just an extra DLC, but there's good stuff that you can play while you're playing the main game. So in order to access it, you will need to have the side quests for Snorpy and Chandlo done, so you can go to the island, because you need those characters to help you on the island. And overall, I think this DLC, I think it's somewhere, because getting the hats, it's not that difficult. Maxing out your hut is not that difficult either. Beating the main island is not that difficult either. I'm gonna put it in between the Borderlands 3 DLCs. I think it's easier than Bounty of Blood and Psycho Creek. I think it's harder than Bounty of Blood and Psycho Creek, but I don't think it's a harder DLC than the other two, or even the director's, or even the designer's cut. So it's gonna sit right in the middle. That's where I'm gonna. Oh boy. Okay. So, Coiled, Captors, and Glutton's Gamble. We were just talking about Borderlands, but these DLCs are nothing like the other DLCs. These DLCs suck. And especially this one, Coiled Captors, which sucks. Even on its hardest difficulty, I still don't think it's that difficult. Yeah, I'm gonna put it at the bottom of the cakewalk, because like you could just go in and fucking slap chums. Like we went in there like Thomas the Tank Engine, freaking full steam ahead, and clapped that boy. So yeah, I'm gonna put it there. Now, Imelda the Sandwich was a lot harder. They made the character a lot harder. And I've been playing through the next one called Molten Mirrors, and that one is a lot harder. The DLC is still very, very short, but I can feel the quality of these DLCs slowly getting better, and slowly starting to be actual decent DLCs, if I might jest and say that. So Imelda, definitely harder than Infamous Second Son. Yep, I'm gonna put it behind the director's cut. That's where it's gonna sit. So basically, for both these DLCs, you just have to beat it 4 times, once on each difficulty, which will take you like 15 to 20 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on what difficulty you're playing on and how hard is your level, and how hard is your chaos level. But essentially, you just have to beat the boss, and you'll get both trophies for each of them. Little Nightmares. Oh boy, here we go. So I put Little Nightmares. Oh boy, here we go. So I put that in the challenging tier. and it's definitely going to be at the top of the challenging tier, and it's basically due to one trophy. That is the no death speedrun trophy, hard to the core. Even though it's an hour long, which is not that bad, it's still kind of tough to get that trophy because your platforming is not exactly the most fluid thing on the planet. It's definitely no Crash Bandicoot when it comes to the platforming. And you're being chased constantly by these monsters. So that's honestly the hardest part of this whole experience, is basically that trophy. Otherwise, you got a couple of environmental trophies, you got a couple collectible trophies, you got a trophy for beating all of the 5 different places. But it really, the difficulty comes down to that no death speedrun, which is only an hour. I know it's not crazy, it's not no mein Leben or anything like that, but it is still pretty difficult. You can still mess up, there's still plenty of room for error. So that's where the difficulty from Little Nightmares comes from. And then we got its DLCs. The first one is the Depths, and that will go, I think I'm gonna put it above all the Borderlands DLCs, except maybe not the designer's cut. I'll put it after that. This is the most linear of the 3 DLCs and the easiest, especially even the environmental trophy is super easy. So that one is in the cakewalk. The other 2 go in the casual tier, especially the Residence, which I think has the hardest environmental trophy of the DLC. I'm gonna put that one above Glutton's Gamble, behind the director's cut, and I'm going to put the Residence just right behind it. Yeah, for these 2, it's less linear, especially because these DLCs have branching paths that you need to go through. It's still only 3 trophies each, 1 for the collectibles, 1 for beating it, and then an environmental trophy. But I think they're much tougher, especially their puzzles are much tougher, so I'm going to put them right there. And that's all 10 episodes done and all the DLC from those New Game Plus episodes, but I'm going to also be including these DLCs right here. These are from our games that we covered in the Platinum Hunters regular episodes, and I'm very familiar with most of them, so I can put them on the tier list. I said I was going to be a little more casual about this tier list. So we got the Metal Gear Solid level pack, and I love this DLC. It is a fantastic DLC, especially with what they did with the Metal Gear stuff. And that's going in Hardened. I'm going to put it at the bottom of Hardened. And there are a bunch of good challenges you'll find in this DLC in terms of trophies, like one where you have to beat a certain level with a certain amount of paint, so you have to reserve your shots. There's one for beating the Metal Gear Rex in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. There's the aces, so that means you can't get killed by the Metal Gear Rex at the end boss and the other levels. So there's a lot of fun stuff and challenging stuff to have here in this DLC. Then we got the add-on trophy set for Astro's Playroom. I'm not sure why these were not put in the base trophy set, but I guess people don't like time trials enough that Team Asobi decided to put it as an extra trophy set, and I'm gonna put that in moderate because there is time trials added to it in here, and then basically you need to make sure that all your time trials add up to a time that is less than 7 minutes. So between all of them, less than 7 minutes. So I'm sure of it, you're gonna have to grind out a few of these and try to beat your previous time to bring your overall time lower, and as soon as you bring it down lower than 7, you will get that trophy. And that's pretty well it for the base set. The other trophy related to it is just for beating the game. They give you an extra trophy on top of the platinum they're going to give you. Oh boy, Stormy Ascent. I know this all too well. I'm going to put this in the expert tier because this shit is hard. For those who don't know about Stormy Ascent, they took this level out of the original Crash Bandicoot that came out on the PS1. They took this level out because it was too freaking hard for that game. They thought it was too freaking hard. Well, Vicarious Visions brought it back in all its, I'm not gonna say glory, because honestly this level can go fuck itself, but they brought it back, and now you have to get a gold time relic on it and beat it. I think beating it is a feat in itself, but if you can get a gold time relic on it, you are a pretty big crash god, because it's certainly a feat. I put it under expert because it's very, very difficult. Probably the most difficult thing we're gonna cover on this list. Then we got the LittleBigPlanet 2 DC Comics level pack. So this thing is not as tough as the Metal Gear Solid level pack, but I think it sits here in the moderate tier. I think it's a little more challenging than Astro's Playroom, so I'm gonna put it above it, and it's gonna sit here. Basically, aces, story bubbles, the same thing we always know about every LittleBigPlanet game. And then there are a couple of challenging trophies, kind of like the Metal Gear Solid level pack. Like there's one where you'll have to fly through this one level. It's where you have the cape, and you need to keep your score multiplier going until you hit 70, which pretty much ensures that you have to beat almost all of the level without dropping your score multiplier. So you're gonna have to do it pretty flawlessly. That's a hard trophy to do. I don't have it. I haven't beaten that part yet, but that's basically the challenge where it comes from, along with the aces as well for acing all the levels. Uncharted 4 survival mode is a tricky one to place because it's very team based. You have to do this with a team. I don't think you can do it by yourself. It's very hard. I have it here in challenging, and I think I'm gonna put it in between Little Nightmares and Returnal Ascension. Basically, you need to beat all 10 stages, then you need to beat them again on crushing difficulty, and on crushing difficulty, it is very difficult. You won't be able to do it by yourself. You pretty much need a good team with good gear to beat these. This is tough, and there are certain tricks that you can use to make it easier and run through it a lot quicker. But it's going to be dependent on the people you have with you if you can do this. Then we got the Future Tense DLC. And this I'm going to put in moderate. This is a brand new level created by Vicarious Visions for Crash 3 based on the assets from my personal favorite levels in Crash 3, the future levels. And it's awesome. And this trophy set is not as hard as the Stormy Ascent one because you don't need to get the gold time relic, which is good. However, you will need to get all the boxes to get the crystal, and in order to do that, you'll need to make it to a certain part of the level without dying because you need to get on the death route. So it has its challenges, but it's not as challenging as Stormy Ascent. Definitely not even close. And it's kind of like moderate difficulty. As soon as you know what to do, you can just do it and hope for the best while you're trying to get to the death route. After the death route, if you get a checkpoint, it's way easier after that. It's just a matter of time before you complete the level and get all the boxes. Then we got Ghost of Tsushima's New Game Plus mode, which is very easy. You can crit path the story and you can just go right into easy mode plus and just complete it. It doesn't require you to beat it on the hardest difficulty, unlike a lot of the other New Game Plus runs that have come out for other games like Spider-Man or Horizon. Nope, just beat it again on easy plus. You can crit path the story and just make sure you make a trip to the black dye merchant and the white dye merchant and buy something. That's it. It's really easy, honestly. That's why I'm putting it at the bottom of the cakewalk tier. As opposed to our other New Game Plus on the list, Spider-Man. This wants you to do it on ultimate difficulty, but again, you can do it by crit pathing the story, and it's pretty, I don't know, I didn't find it that difficult, honestly. It had a few spots where it was difficult, but on ultimate difficulty, I don't think it's that bad. So I didn't bother putting it higher than our casual tier. And I think it's more difficult than Glutton's Gamble, than those. Terramorphous is pretty tough, but I don't know. I'm going to put it here. So it's underneath the Journey Home and underneath the Director's Cut. And then finally we have our Spider-Man Remastered add-on trophy set. And really, if you've done these things in the main game, it'll just pop the trophies once you load up your save file from the main game. If you haven't, the hardest thing you're gonna have to do is get a 100-hit combo, max out your gadgets, complete one of the benchmarks fully. There's 5 trophies in it. It's not hard at all, honestly. And I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put on. You know what? I'll just put it on the bottom. Really, it's even easier than the new game plus for Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah. And there's our list. That's episode 1 to 10 on our Platinum Hunters New Game Plus DLCs and add-on trophy sets. I got more stuff that I want to cover and some long overdue DLCs that I need to cover, like the Ghost of Tsushima Legends DLC, the Burnout Paradise Remastered DLCs. I got The City That Never Sleeps that I need to cover. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that will come to Platinum Hunters New Game Plus, but this is our list so far right now. Let me know down in the comment sections where you would put these different DLCs, and if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, I love to hear it from you guys. And also subscribe to the channel for more content just like this, like any of our trophy guides and anything else we concoct for the future of this channel. I'm always thinking about new stuff to bring to the channel and give to you guys. I hope all your trophy hunting expeditions go amazing, ultimate, spectacular, and peace out.